On July 2012, a game titled Utahonotatari was released on the website freegame-mugen.jp, a site where user can download free RPG Maker game. The site was mainly for Japanese audience, so the game was mostly in Japanese. That is until 2022 when a user named Miko Effect translated the first game, allowing Western audience to experience this horror game for the first time. Utahonotatari, or the Curse of Utaho, is a two-part game which follows two different individuals that are cursed by the vengeful god named Utahokami and experience scary paranormal events around them. I already covered the first part of the series, so now we'll go over to the second part where the story focuses on a woman named Shizune Kito who worked with a company that deals with the paranormal stuff. One day, after forgetting her cell phone at her workplace, she stumbled upon a document and a video clip of the incident that took the lives of few researchers. Curious about it, she decided to investigate it further, but things took a dark turn when she learns about the truth of the curse, and she herself began to experience a lot of terrifying paranormal events. The game opens up with a video sent to the Yumekura Occult Research Institute. The video is about a paranormal investigation done by a group of researchers who went missing a few years ago. In that video, we can see what seems to be a shadowy figure appearing for a brief moment before disappearing, following the user who is video recording the place. Once the video ended, it then displays another text where it said the video was sent to the Yumekura Occult Research Institute with a warning note along with it. It then continues on with the game telling us that the researchers who is doing these investigations are still considered missing. However, the weird thing is, the tape was sent by one of the researchers who labeled the tape as Sato General Hospital. If all of this sounds familiar, that's because we already saw the fate of these researchers in the first game when Utano visited the hotel. I find it funny how the first game mentioned that the bodies of the missing researchers were never found, yet Utano managed to find them by accident hidden in a locked room. Anyways, after watching the video, we're introduced to the new protagonist of this sequel, a young woman who worked in the Yumekura Occult Research Institute, the very same company where the cursed tape was sent. Already, things were not looking well. Anyway, Shizune makes her way to the office and towards her desk. Here, for some reason, the PC is on. Weird, but she didn't think too much of it. Still, she checks if there's anything that she missed. Now, we get to see what's on the desktop, and surprisingly, she's very minimalistic. There's 4 apps present on the screen, however, one of them, called the video player, plays 2 weird and unexplained video. Here's both video. The first one is titled "What's This?" and true to its name, I myself asked that question as well. What is this video? It looks like someone was scattering paper on the street. Well, as weird as that video is, the second one is even weirder. Titled Blue Devil, this video is nothing but a random blue thing talking like a baby while floating in mid-air. Anyways, after messing with the PC for a while and didn't find anything important, Shizune turned off the computer and prepared to go home. Or so we thought, because at this point, the game branches off into 3 different routes. So here we are presented with 3 possible outcomes: the secret route, the shrine route, and the hospital route. We'll go over all of them, so for now, she enters the director's room and found a key to the library and a note along with it that warns people to not go into the cargo room. This made Shizune curious. What was inside the cargo room that the director didn't want people to know? Curiosity got the best of her and she decided that she had to know. As she exits the room, suddenly bloody writing appeared on the wall telling her to not come. Shizune was taken aback by this, but she thought it was just her imagination since she's been working too hard. Plus, the place is dark, so she didn't know whether the writing was already there or not. Shizune then went to the library where she found a note from the director. In that note, he wrote a convoluted way of deciphering the code to unlock his locker room. It took her a while, but she managed to solve the puzzle given by her boss and obtained the cargo room key. This room is located at the end of the hallway. When Shizune enters this room, she saw an ominous box covered in talisman, a sign that maybe the content is cursed and should not be opened. However, Shizune discarded that bad feeling and opens the box. Inside, she found a tape, the very same cursed tape that we saw at the start of the game. There is a note as well that warns anyone to not search for the truth. Shizune believes that this tape belongs to the missing researchers and the location Sato General Hospital would have the answer. She's determined to get to the bottom of this. As she exits the room to find the clue, she stumbles upon a piece of article about the Yamano family's disappearance. This might not be relevant to her, but to us it provided an answer as to what happened to the family after they're affected by the curse. The content of the article talk about how the family went missing, however their eldest daughter was spotted inside the house and a search was initiated to find her. That is as far as the article go. Moving on, Shizune exits the room, and as soon as she did that, she heard footsteps running towards the cargo room. She can't see it, but we as the player knows that figure. It's none other than Utano herself. Shizune follows the footsteps and into the cargo room but found no one was inside. However, the room feels ominous. She was confused by this, but she shrugged off that dreaded feeling as nothing more than her imagination. Continuing on, Shizune went to the files room to find more information about the building where the tape was taken. After going through several files, she finally found the files for Sato General Hospital and flips through it. Here we get more information on why the hospital was shut down. Now, it was never mentioned properly in the first game, so it was left vague to people. In the sequel, we learned that the hospital was closed down because a lot of the patients died due to asbestos. At least that's what the official report says. Shizune wasn't convinced though, and she decided to investigate it on her own since she wanted to know more. Plus, it could make her boss happy and could potentially lead to a promotion, but is it worth it? At this point, with the weird stuff happening around her, Shizune should wonder if it's worth chasing after something that could potentially harm her. But then again, this is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After thinking thoroughly, she decided to go and investigate the place. Making sure she left nothing behind, Shizune went home to rest, since tomorrow morning she planned on going to that abandoned hospital. The next day, Shizune arrived at the hospital. Located deep in the mountains, the place is as abandoned as it can be. With debris falling off from the ceiling and holes on the floor, the place itself looks like it's on the verge of collapse. Shizune explores through the darkness and eventually she picked up a hook-like object, which she used to open the grate that took her into the underground room. In this room, she found a terminal that activates the electricity in this building. Now with the lights on, she can freely explore the place to find clues about the missing researchers. While exploring the second floor, she met someone named Nana. Nana appeared to be a schoolgirl with an eye patch on her right eye, suggesting something might have happened to her. Nana then went on to tell Shizune that today is the anniversary of her mother's death, who died while giving birth to her in this hospital. She then asked Shizune what is she doing in this hospital. Shizune answered by telling her everything, how she was here to look for the missing researchers after watching the tape and how the hospital is connected through all of this. There's a long pause between the two of them which puzzles Shizune. Is there something wrong in what she said? Before she could say anything, Nana told her that trying to find the truth is pointless because in the end, everyone died. Shizune was confused by this. What is she meant by that? Seeing how confused Shizune looked, Nana then added another cryptic message. Don't understand the significance of being alive, shall have their will turn into a curse. There's a curse within you. After she spoke of this seemingly ominous message, the mirror then shattered into tiny pieces and a terrifying image of a woman appeared for a split second. Nana was nowhere to be seen. This scared Shizune and she immediately exits the room. She continued her exploration, turning on 3 computers to access the operating room. She managed to turn on 2 of them, but when she got to the 3rd room, that's where things starts to become creepy. On the wall, there's a bloody writing that said, "Give me my body," and then out of nowhere, another one appeared on the floor, this time saying, "Incoming sound, Utano Shizune." Shizune was puzzled. What does all of this mean? Before she got an answer, she looked up and saw her mother peeking from across the table. Now her mother is here. What is going on? She asked her mother what is she doing here, but before she could answer, Nana appeared and ripped her head. Shizune screamed in horror as Nana laughed maniacally, proclaiming that she got one of the Yamano family. But Shizune was shocked to even listen to any of this. Her mother just died in front of her. Suddenly her phone rang. It was Takeru, her boyfriend. Shizune picked up the call and she can hear Takeru sound worried and panicking. He told her that her mother had killed herself. Shizune was surprised. How could her mother kill herself when she just witnessed her being killed by Nana right in front of her just a few minutes ago? Takeru told her to not play around since that couldn't be the case. Her mother was found inside the wardrobe in her room. Shizune immediately hung up the call. She didn't know what's real or not anymore. All she knows now is that she had to go back home, but as soon as she tries to exit, a floating head appeared all of a sudden. Luckily, she avoided the head from killing her and exits the room. When she got to the front door, she tried to open it but to no luck as the door for some reason was locked. And to make matters worse, the power suddenly went out again. Luckily this time, she remembered that she had a phone, and using that flashlight from it, she navigated her way through the darkness, where eventually she saw bloody footprints that leads her into the operating room. When she entered the room, a woman in a bloody clothing approached her rapidly. Shizune quickly exits the room. She wondered if she was hallucinating. Taking a deep breath, she entered the room again, and this time, she didn't see the woman. Maybe she was hallucinating? As she explores the room, she saw a woman who the player knows all too well. It's none other than Utano herself. But Shizune didn't know this person as this is her first time meeting her. She asked the figure who she is, and Utano replied that she is her mother. This confused her. She already had a mother, so why is this figure claiming to be her mother instead? Before she got answers from her, Utano disappeared, and in her place is a key to the child's care room. Shizune didn't know what's real or not anymore. She decided to go there to see if there's anything she could find since she was given this key. When she got to that place, nothing seems out of ordinary until she approached a bloody cradle where she discovered a shocking revelation. The names displayed on the cradle are Shizune and Nana Yamano. This means that Shizune is a Yamano, which confuses her even more. So her mother was not her mother the whole time? So many questions goes through her head, and right at that moment, Nana enters the room, repeating the lines, "Return my right eye." When Shizune looked at her, she was horrified. Nana's bandages had come off, revealing an empty eye socket on the right eye. Shizune told her that it wasn't her fault since it's true that she didn't know any of it. She then avoided her as she tried to chase after Shizune to get her right eye. Shizune had enough. She was only here to find out what happened to the researchers. How did it lead to her discovering her origin? She regretted coming to this place as she was happier before knowing all of this. Enough is enough. Shizune wanted to go home, but as she approached the exit, the police siren can be heard just through the exit door. So now she's been detained for allegedly killing her mother, which doesn't make sense at all. Shizune knows that she is innocent and had to escape. She remembered there's a hidden passageway from the basement. She didn't know where it would lead her, but it's better than just staying here. As she exits through the basement, the police catches up to her, so she ran. While she was running, various monsters chases after her. Even the girl from the first game joins in. Eventually, she saw a path leading upstairs and went through it, but instead of freedom, Shizune appears to be in another room where there's dead bodies inside. The camera pans, revealing the place to be on the other side of the Shinmachi Hotel's basement. The same place where in the first game, Utano felt something ominous on the other side. When the camera returns to Shizune, we saw the girl who is an Oni with a bunch of floating head. The Oni told her that Shizune had learned the truth and now must be killed. Shizune asked her why must she be killed just because she learns the truth. The Oni told her that because she knew of the truth, the curse of Utaho lives on. It was supposed to be hidden until a certain woman in 1997 discovers it again, reviving the curse once more. Shizune begs for her life as she haven't done anything yet. She still haven't married Takeru yet. However, the Oni just reassured her that everyone will die eventually. The screen fades to black as the head surrounds her, killing Shizune. Some time had passed and an unknown woman appeared in the basement of the Shinmachi Hotel. She looked around the place before deciding to tell everybody about this place, reviving Utahokami once again. Let's rewind back the time where Shizune didn't let her curiosity wins. In this branching path, Shizune decided to go home instead. She had 3 days off, so she decided to spend it by watching Let's Plays and lays around. All seems normal until that evening when she heard a sound coming from the closet. Shizune checks it out but finds nothing. Curious, she asks her mother about it, but she didn't know anything about it as well. However, her mother said something weird. She mentioned how she saw something red and black when she tried to get the futon. Shizune thought her mother might have seen a centipede, but that wasn't the case. She goes about her day again until it was time for her to have dinner. Shizune went down, but when she got there, the lights were turned off, and the weird thing is, her mother didn't seem to care and just kept making food. This is definitely weird, but Shizune thinks nothing of it and just ate the food with her mother. After she finished eating, Shizune takes a bath and ready herself to sleep, but that's where she saw another creepy incident. Outside of her room, heavy footsteps can be heard going up and stopping right in front of her door. Shizune thought it was her mother, but what is she doing this late at night? She opens the door to let her in, but when she opens it, no one was outside. Shizune was feeling uneasy already. What is happening? She went downstairs to find her mother and ask her, but her mother denied ever going up there. Maybe it was her imagination? Still, she tries not to think too much of it and went back to bed, hoping that all of this was just in her head. However, things were not over yet. While she was sleeping, she dreamt of a figure of a bloody clotted woman appeared in her room and slowly approaching her. Shizune screamed in fear as she woke up from this nightmare. This is just the first of many horrifying incidents to come. The next day, Shizune woke up feeling tired. Her mother is out and she's all alone in the house. Suddenly, she received a phone call from Takeru, who oddly sounded worried. He told her how relieved he is after finally being able to hear her voice. Shizune was puzzled by this. What does he meant by that? She's been sleeping, and if there's any reason to not pick up, she would tell him beforehand. Shizune dismissed what Takeru said and told him that she had a 3-day off. Takeru suggested they go out somewhere, but Shizune declined, saying that she wanted to relax on her own, which turns out well for both of them since Takeru is also busy with work. After they're done talking, Shizune tries to go downstairs, but it suddenly got dark. She didn't realize she was talking that long. She checks the tatami room and found her mother staring at the closet. Remember what she did because it's important later on. For now, her mother didn't talk or react when she was called, so Shizune left her. She thought nothing of it and went back upstairs, but here, she saw her mother again on the second floor. So she already saw her mother in 2 different locations. Why is her mother appearing randomly? This doesn't make sense. It's almost as if she's a ghost. Fear suddenly grips her, and as if things couldn't get worse, Shizune heard the doorbell ring. She looked through the peephole and saw her mother. Shizune screamed as loud as she can. Her mother enters the house and laughed. Apparently, she was playing a joke on her. Shizune asked her where has she been all this day, and her mother told her that she's been out for a while. She told her that she already informed Shizune earlier that morning, but that doesn't make sense. When she woke up, her mother was nowhere to be found, so when did this happen? Nothing makes sense anymore. Shizune was so overwhelmed with emotion that she just lashed out at her mother and went immediately into her room. After calming down, she texted her mother saying sorry to her, and her mother replied by saying sorry as well. Here we got our first choice in the game. Go to bed or choosing it's not right. The correct answer is to go to bed and forget all of this. However, if Shizune chooses the second option, her mother appeared outside the door and then changed her appearance to Rino, Utano's little sister in the first game. She then proceeded to strangle her until she died. Not a good way to go. Anyway, going back to the choices, Shizune chooses to sleep instead of seeing her mother. The next morning, Shizune realized that she hadn't took a bath since yesterday, so she decided to take one. This is where the game becomes weird. It showed us this POV of her taking a bath and a little bit of something, but that's not all. Seconds later, the power went out. And this surprises Shizune. She immediately got out and tried to look around. That's where she saw a strange looking altar in the empty room next to her room. As far as she can remember, there is no altar in this house. She approached the altar and what happened next shocked her to the core. On the altar is her picture and her name written on it, Shizune Kito. The altar made it seem like she's already dead. Shizune screamed in terror. The only thing she can think of right now is to get out of the house. She immediately went to the front door, but for some reason the door was locked. Panic starts to fill her mind and she immediately called her mother, but her mother didn't pick up the call. However, she can hear the ringing of her cell phone inside the house. That means her mother is inside the house all along. Shizune follows the sound and it led her into her room's closet where it reveals a horrifying scene. When she opens the closet door, the head of her mother can be seen peeking through the closet. She didn't see the rest of her body, but Shizune knows is inside the closet. Horrified by this, Shizune screams in fear. Seconds later, the room turns red and Shizune was laughing maniacally, almost as if she's possessed. She ran towards the front door to try and get out. As she kept trying to open the door, Shizune kept giggling and asking for help. All the while, a floating head slowly approached her. It got to the point where she was begging to be killed, and just as the floating head inched closer to her, Takeru appeared. Seeing how Shizune is acting unlike herself, Takeru had no choice but to use force by slapping her face. This action saves her as she regained her senses. After calming her down, he brought her back to the apartment and called the police. In his apartment, Takeru asked if she had anything to do with her mother's death since she was the only one there, so naturally, Shizune could potentially be the suspect. Shizune couldn't believe what she heard. She's the victim here. Her mother just died and the police wanted to blame it on her? Takeru calmed her down and told her that her mother's death is weird. She died because of starvation. Apparently, she's been dead for 10 days already. Shizune was shocked to hear this. She was just talking with her mother a few days ago. How could she be dead? Disbelief in what she heard, Shizune didn't know what to say. Takeru promised that he would protect her no matter what and excused himself to go to work. Shizune spends her time by watching the TV until eventually she fell asleep. When Takeru came back home, he saw her fell asleep on the carpet floor, so he took her back to his room to let her rest. After that, Takeru went back to the living room to sleep there. This is where things get creepy. The TV suddenly turns on and played an old video. The video shows someone running in the forest. It then shows an old abandoned house. It stays that way for a few minutes until suddenly a black figure appears and the TV suddenly shuts down. Takeru was surprised to see this. Suddenly everything turns red. As he opens the door, a woman's head suddenly appeared and rapidly closing in on him. Takeru instantly went back inside, but it was too late. He felt something on his feet and looked down, but before he could see what it was, something grabbed him and dragged his body into the hole in the wall. Not long after that, Shizune woke up and was looking for Takeru. As she was searching for him, she suddenly got a call from him who told him that he's going to the shrine and asked her to hurry up. Shizune was confused by this. The closest shrine that she could think of was the Shin shrine, but why did Takeru want to go there? Is there something in that shrine? Well, as she later found out, the shrine holds a much darker secret. Arriving at the shrine, this is where things become disturbing. So on the left side, there are 3 torii gates. Nothing out of the ordinary, but if Shizune went through it, the game glitches and became corrupted. Seconds later, a picture of what seems to be a corpse can be seen. Apparently, this picture is from a real dead body. Anyway, Shizune enters the shrines and finds many disturbing things, such as unexplained head popping out from the floor, weird and creepy painting, but that doesn't stop her from trying to find Takeru. She continued on inside where she solved a puzzle involving Utahokami. The puzzle instructs her to find 3 spear objects and then insert them into a hole. Once she completes all 3 of them, the final door opens, which took her into a room with 2 boxes. As she approached it, the Oni appeared trying to stop her from opening one of them. Now here we are given another choice, left or right. If Shizune chooses the right one, a female mask appeared and then we can see flashes of the first game. Shizune screamed in horror and asked what it was that she saw, but the Oni just told her that it's all her fault before disappearing. The screen turns red, signifying Shizune being possessed, and if she tries to exit, she will find out that the door is locked and a bunch of giant floating heads approached her, slowly and eventually killing her. Choosing the left box is the right option. The Oni breathed a sigh of relief and told Shizune that she's been spared. Shizune then asked for the Oni's identity, but the Oni didn't answer her and instead asked Shizune for her identity instead. Here's the weird part. Shizune answers her name, but the Oni shakes her head and told her that she's not Shizune Kito. Why is that? Well, if you got the hospital ending, it was revealed that Shizune's last name was Yamano, so the Oni was right. She does know everything about her. Shizune wanted to know more, but then suddenly the box on the right rattled and out came the white no mask. The mask demanded the Oni to give Shizune to it, but the Oni refused since she didn't know about the truth yet. The no mask refused to back down and still wanted Shizune, claiming that it will finally have a new Uta by getting her. But the Oni didn't care, saying that the Utahokami religion had come to an end. The no mask was furious upon hearing this and decided to take Shizune by force, but the Oni steps in and protects her, telling Shizune to run away while she stopped the no mask. Shizune runs, but as she leaves, a crunching sound is heard. She looked behind and saw the Oni being devoured by the no mask. The Oni knows that she's not going to survive this, so she leaves Shizune with a final word, telling her to live on since she didn't know the truth. Shizune runs away as fast as she could, but no matter how fast she goes, the Nomas is getting closer to her. However, through sheer perseverance, she managed to reach the front door where unexpectedly she saw Takeru. Shizune was happy to see him, but that happiness was cut short as she saw Takeru was holding back the floating head. He asked for Shizune to go on ahead. Reluctantly, she complies and leaves the shrine. When she got out of the shrine, the place was in flame. She quickly went to the police station where they confirmed that her mother committed suicide and not because of Shizune killing her. They also investigate the shrine where they determined the cause of the fire was due to the improper cigarette disposal. However, the weird thing is everything related to the shrine such as books, newspaper article were suddenly caught on fire. And not only that, every police officer who was involved in investigating the incident died mysteriously. To make things weirder, after all the fire settled down, Takeru's body was nowhere to be found. But police report seeing a figure of a man that matches Takeru's description. A year after the incident, Shizune, who can't move on, returns to his apartment hoping that he's still alive and would one day appear in this apartment. As she rummaged through his belongings, she found a videotape made for her from Takeru. This is that video.
Shizune, もし俺に何かあったら、まずお前は真っ先に逃げてほしい。そして俺のことは忘れて、完全にお前の記憶から俺のことを消してくれ。完全にお前の記憶から俺のことを消してくれ。
After watching the video, the game ended with an apparition of Takeru watching her from a distance. The secret ending is probably the shortest ending ever, but it only makes sense if you already get the other two endings, as this ending confirms that Shizune was a Yamano. In this ending, if she didn't read the hospital file, another door magically appeared that took her into the Yamano house. Using her phone's flashlight, she navigated her way into the house, finding weird things that she didn't understand, but to us, the player who plays the first game, we know them. Like in the bathroom, we can see the corpse of Utano's mother. She even saw Utano's sister and father pinned to the wall by something. As she explores the house trying to find the exit, she eventually ends up in the attic where everything began, and here a huge face appeared. This terrifies her and Shizune runs away from it. However, she suddenly stopped, but not on her own. Something was stopping her from moving. She then hears something saying "Okaeri," meaning welcome home, repeatedly and gradually getting closer to her before eventually it stopped, and all we can hear is "Okaeri Shizune," confirming her identity as a Yamano. So understanding Utahonotatari 2 is pretty hard considering the plot itself is confusing unless you're playing both games at the same time. At first I thought Utahonotatari was a game about a girl named Utano who breaks a taboo and was cursed because of it, but then in the second game we got another character who at first is completely new to the series, yet they're connected. So what exactly is this game trying to tell? Well, to understand the whole game we have to go back to the past. Long ago, in a village called Utaho Village, the villagers developed a religion called Utahokyo. They worship a being known as Utahokami. Utahokami is a god that sings songs of purification and heals people. However, this god is also greedy. It seeks a beautiful voice every day. The reason for that is so that she could perform miracles for the villagers. To get these voices, she needs throats. The throat of a young girl. Now in the Utaho village, there's 4 main families living there. The Nagisa family, the Kawashima family, the Fushimi family, and the Yamano family. Each generation of the family will be chosen to give the throat to Utahokami. This has been going on for generations and it never fails. Until one person was chosen. That person is Kaho from the Nagisa family. In her diary, she stated that she doesn't want to disappear and she seems to reject Utahokami. Why is that? Well, that's because Kaho learns the truth. the truth about Utahokami and its religion. She learns about the ritual for the throat succession. In the note in the Utaho village, it was revealed that the chosen one was sacrificed by literally having their throat offered to Utahokami, and the rest of the body parts were either sold off or buried somewhere far. When Kaho learns of this truth, she knew that her days are numbered, so instead of them killing her, she willingly killed herself to disrupt the ritual. This angered Utahokami and she put a curse on the village. Kaho, on the other hand, since she died without a proper burial, returned as an Oni, the very same Oni that Utano and Shizune saw in their journey. Vowing to stop anyone from knowing the truth, Kaho as an Oni kills anyone that knows of the truth, in the hopes that it will make people forget about Utahokami and its religion. She's doing pretty well until 1997 when an old woman stumbled on its secret by accident, reviving Utahokami. If this is familiar, that's because that old woman is Utano's grandmother who disappeared all of a sudden. Naturally, the disappearance of her grandmother piqued Rino's interest. She decided to do an investigation on it, but somewhere during her investigation, she learns the truth and was possessed by Utahokami. If we play through the hospital route in the first game, we learned that Rino was already dead when we met her in the hospital. She was also shown wearing the white no mask. The white no mask symbolized Utahokami, and her wearing the mask, it doesn't take two and two to put together to realize that she's already dead and was possessed by Utahokami. But why would the curse go after Utano? Why is she getting haunted considering she didn't know anything at first? Well, as it turns out, all of the throat successor chosen by Utahokami was the eldest of the family. That includes Kaho, Utano, and even Shizune. Utahokami's goal is to obtain the throat, so she would do whatever it takes to reach that goal. Even if it means manipulating the one she wanted to the point of breaking down, because the more that person despaired, the easier it is to possess them. This is why we see Utahokami uses Rino's appearance to torment Utano throughout the first game. However, Utano managed to survive since in the true ending, she didn't know anything about the curse, so the Oni spared her. This allowed her to have family. But even so, Utahokami never gives up. Since she couldn't get Utano, she decided to use her death as a catalyst. Unfortunately for Utano, she died while giving birth to twin babies named Nana and Shizune. Both babies are then adopted through different families. As the years went by, Shizune grew up not knowing anything about her true parents, and she's okay with it. In fact, it never even crossed her mind. However, this isn't the same with Nana. As she grew up, she grows curious about her true parents and decides to search for the truth. This is a bad idea because, as we all know, Utahokami will be revived if someone searches for the truth. Since Nana is a Yamano, her heritage is directly connected to Utahokami. This led her to be possessed by Utahokami, but since she's not the eldest, Utahokami needed to do something to spread the curiosity, something that will reach Shizune. But before she could do anything to Shizune, something needed to be done. She needed her to be in despair so it'll be easier to possess her. 10 days prior to Shizune forgetting her phone, which started all of this, something happened in the Kito residence where Shizune's mother was starved to death. The person that we're seeing in the shrine ending is her ghost. How did we know this? Well, earlier in the file room, you can find a book called The Underworld and the Present World by D. Darius. This book might seem useless at first, but it explains a lot. In that book, it was mentioned that when a person died abruptly, they would not realize that they have died, so they carry on as usual. But as time goes on, they would notice something about them, which explains a lot about Shizune's mother's odd behavior, from asking Shizune if she saw something red and black to just staring at the closet. All of this point out to her slowly realizing that she had died and her body is stuffed into the closet. However, Shizune wouldn't know that, and 10 days after her mother died, the cursed tape of the missing researchers was sent to where Shizune worked. One night, she forgot her cell phone in her workplace. What started off as a simple case of retrieving her cell phone ended up with her discovering the cursed tape and was drawn to the Shinmachi hospital ward out of curiosity. When she arrived in the hospital ward, she met with Nana, who is already possessed by Utahokami, leading her towards the truth. The truth about her birth, what happened to the researchers, and the ritual. When Shizune learns of the truth, the Oni who wanted to stop the curse from spreading and preventing Utahokami from reviving, killed Shizune. And with that, we have officially ended Utahonotatari. Thank you to everyone who is patiently waiting for this episode. This video is supposed to be the final video for 2024, but researching took a lot of time, so I decided to just release it for the New Year video. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, subscribe with the notification on so you won't miss upcoming video. Leave a recommendation of what kind of video you want to see next in the making. Put them down in the comments below. Oh, and don't forget to like this video as well if you enjoyed it. And check out the previous stuff I made if you haven't yet. That's all. See you.